Oh, this afternoon we are privileged to be meeting and talking to Bruce Stephenson, Waipawa Identity, owner and director of Stephenson's Transport. Bruce, thanks so much for giving us your time and helping Ian and myself record some of our local history. It's most appreciated.
Hey, my pleasure.
Bruce, we'll begin at the early days. Where were you born?
I was born in Waipawa here, born and bred in Waipawa, 1940, 15th of February, so there you
go. Okay, so what are some of your earliest memories growing up in Waipawa?
Well, going to school, I suppose, is one of the earliest ones. Although perhaps earlier in the stage, I can remember when the war was on, and I must have been about 4 or 5 years old, but I can distinctly remember the town clerk biking down to Jack Beck's place on top of the hill at Island Road because his lights were on and there was a blackout. He was afraid the Japanese might be coming over to invade us. And I can recall, and he's biking away, he's puffing like buggery, and he gets back there, comes back and has a chat to Dad over the fence, and I heard what was going on, of course, and just vivid memory of that sort of thing. And that sort of just must have stuck in my mind.
Yep.
This is quite a serious event where it's going through.
That's interesting. I mean, so that's one of your earliest memories. Have you got anything else prior to going to school?
Yeah.
I mean, 4 or 5, that's great to be remembering back that far.
Well, I can't remember any of my girlfriends, so
you
can't remember them.
No, okay.
No, seriously. No, good times at school. Made some good mates at school, and used to go to school with bare feet, of course. Like most of us did in those days. Parents couldn't afford the shoes anyway, and. I don't think for a start we could afford a toothbrush even, most of us.
Right.
But that was typical of the families in those days, of course.
So were you a good scholar, or did you just go for your eat lunch and play rugby?
Of course I was a top scholar. And that's bullshit, you know that.
No, I don't.
No, I was just part of the team, I think. There's nothing flash about what I did at school. I did take my lunch to school though, and occasionally. And didn't share it with anybody.
No, well, you weren't made to share.
Wasn't much.
No.
Wasn't much there to share.
So, those are your earliest memories. Now, tell me about your parents and your siblings growing up.
Okay, well, there's Mum and Dad, there's 10 of us in our family.
Yep.
I had 5 sisters and 4 brothers, and I'm number 5, as it goes, and the oldest one left living, by the way.
Okay.
There's 4 of us left, the rest have all passed on. We had some good times growing up, doing different things, fishing down the river, swimming in the river. Learnt, I still can't swim, but we used to go to the river often. No swimming pool around in those days, although we used to go over to the council shingle plant and hop in there occasionally. It was a very deep pool, and there was a hell of a job to get the other side in time before you sunk.
And they were dredging for
metal,
for metal.
Yeah, and so it was fairly deep. But no, and I remember as a family we'd go down catching inangas in the river and light a fire and cook them on the river bank. And I doubt there's any inangas left in the river now.
No.
And I'll tell you one thing I do distinctly remember was flounders in the Waipawa River.
Okay, I've heard of that before as well.
I distinctly remember that and seeing them. And I never ever caught one, but I remember standing on a couple and seeing them when I was swimming.
Yes.
And of course there used to be an old wharf jetty down where the bridge goes across the river here now. And apparently they used to drag the boats up the river. That was the idea.
Yeah.
Years and years ago when it was much narrower, wasn't spread out like it is.
And deeper.
Yeah, and deeper.
Yeah. Okay, and those swimming holes you talk about, I seem to remember they always seemed to be there.
Yes.
Over the summers.
They were.
But now they move around and
always there, deep holes. That I don't think the shingle moved as much as it did.
No.
And I suppose the reason for that is we took a lot of the forest away, didn't we, up the hills?
Exactly.
And that's what stuffed everything up. Of course, those native trees held in.
That's right.
I recall when they planted that, I think it was contorta pine, which is trying to hold the shingle there, but then that turned into be a noxious weed in the end, didn't they? And now they want to cut it all down. But yeah, no, I think that was the problem there. We've just denuded the hillsides too much and stuffed it up that way.
And allowed it to come down. There's certainly been a build up in recent times.
Oh, shocking, and massive problems going forward.
Yes, yeah. So you talked about, fun times with like with your siblings and so forth. Now, holidays, did you get to take holidays as a family?
Occasionally, we couldn't all fit in the car, of course.
No.
But Dad had often put us all in a truck and take us out to Porori. And I distinctly remember out there one day, that was when we had to go out at low tide onto the sand at Porori. And I remember Dad having a marquee, and he put it up there, and we all slept in that for I don't know how many days it wasn't many, I know that. But it was a great adventure for us all. And I remember we walked up the top of the hill behind the huts, the houses that are there now, the batches that are there now. And there was a shepherd on the station, whether it was Aramona, I'm not sure, but up in the hill there, and he showed us a rabbit hole. He said, dig that bit of, it was covered over with fresh soil. And you dig that out and put your hand in, and there'll be some young rabbits. And fair enough, there was, Yeah,
another good memory. And just, the truck drive alone on that windy road on the back of the truck would be
it was, although
fun in itself.
Can't remember that, but I do recall one of these bunnies I picked out here, we call them bunnies.
Yeah.
Dad said, "Oh, cut the foot off, that's good luck." You see, so I stuck that off, and I remember it must have been about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, I suppose. I put it in my pocket, and I went home, and then we were playing rugby, and I kept this bloody rabbit's foot in my pocket.
In your white shorts.
Because it was going to be good luck.
Yeah.
And I remember we went in, and Ethel Bibby was the teacher at the time, and he took us all out on his old Ford truck.
Yeah.
No sides on. I might have short sides, I think. Yeah. And we were all sitting on the back of that, and we went out there and played rugby against Elsthorpe. And of course, Elsthorpe was quite a big community too, self-centred sort of community. I remember it might have been one of my first games, or probably wasn't, but still, for rugby at that age anyway.
Yeah.
And I scored 3 tries that day. And this bloody rabbit's foot.
Have you still got it?
No. That's the trouble. Nothing's gone right since. And old Ethel Bibby said, "Stephenson, you're too hungry. Pass the ball out."
Ethel Bibby, he taught here for a long time and taught many local residents still living around.
Bibby family was very prominent in the area, and they owned buildings here, shops here, and they're still out Ongaway, I believe.
Yes.
No, they were. He was a good man, old Ethel.
Yeah. So, you talked about your school days. We've talked about the holidays, and so as a child, you talked about going down to the river and Inanga and all that sort of things. But what other antics did you get up to growing up with your mates in Waipawa?
I loved my rugby mainly, and got into that. And Dad used to push us for that and made us harden up with it. And I remember Don, my brother, who was next up from me. He was 6 years older than me, and they used to have a 7-a-side tournament in those days.
Yeah.
And I remember him making me go over. He knew the coach pretty well, and he used to make me go over with the other boys and train with them, and that sort of hardened me up a bit, I suppose.
Yeah, so what age were you?
Oh, I probably would have been, Don was about, I must be about 7 or 8,
So you took,
even then. And I used to run with those guys, and then later on I developed my rugby and captain of the Ross Shield team. And quite proud of that, and I have a photo here of that somewhere, but we were runners-up, believe it or not.
Okay.
And that doesn't Central Hawke's Bay. Unfortunately, they haven't had the players here in most recent years, or perhaps I've got that wrong. There's been some really good grounds for other players in other areas, and that was when Taupo was part of the Hawke's Bay Union as well.
Yes.
And there was only one team from Hastings, one team from Napier.
Yep. Wairoa.
There was Wairoa and Taupo and Dannyburg. Yeah.
Can you remember where the Rothschild was held that year?
That year was at Arkina Park in Hastings.
Oh, yes.
And Hastings beat us. It was the first game up. Remember quite vividly. And it was a try was worth 3 points in those days, and we got 2 tries and they got 4, unfortunately.
Okay.
And that was the only team that beat us.
Yeah. So that was what year?
That was in 1953.
Yeah, and you've got a photo here.
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
And but the downside to that was there was a game. Hawke's Bay had a game on McLean Park. And the first time I played on McLean Park was one I wanted to forget, really, because they wanted the Rothschild, 2 top Rothschild teams, which was Hastings and Central Hawke's Bay, to play for the curtain raiser.
Curtain raiser, yeah.
We got a hell of a bloody hiding.
Did you?
Yeah. I remember venting my anger at one of our players, and I wasn't very popular. There was a couple of people on the sideline for doing it.
Yeah. So was that the same year that you
Same
were?
year.
Okay.
53, yeah, 1953.
And you were joint winners or winners of the outright of the Rothschild that year?
No, we were runners up.
Oh, you were runners up.
No, Hastings won it. Hastings won it.
Oh, Hastings won it.
Yeah, and we played in the. We had this supposed to be another repeat of the final sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't 12-3 then, it was probably about 53-3 or something. I don't know what it was.
Can you remember the game that you were curtain raiser to?
No, I can't recall that.
Be a Hawke's Bay
game, yeah. Yeah, it was all.
Yeah. Oh, so Rothschild. Well, we're on rugby. We might as well carry on. You just played the 1 year Rothschild?
Yes, just 1 year. I broke my collarbone the other year. Yeah, unfortunately, and. Counted me out, but I enjoyed my rugby. It was good sport.
Good sport. Made a lot of friends.
Definitely,
lifelong
great
friends.
Camaraderie and
So this 7-a-side tournament you were talking about, was that in adults?
No, it wasn't. It was school.
Oh, schoolboys.
Yeah. When I became my brother's age, like 6 years old, there was no 7-a-side tournament then. So it must be something earlier on that they used to run.
Okay.
And I can't recall what it was. But after that, it was a 15-a-side game with Rothschild, of course.
So you moved on to secondary school in Waipawa?
Moved on to secondary school in Waipawa, spent 4 years there. And
that
wasn't
was
a very good...
Waipawa District High School?
Yes, yeah. Here again, I probably put too much into my sports and not enough into my academic side of things.
Yes, we did.
And Dad had me driving trucks at the same time.
Okay. So you were driving while you were at secondary school?
Well, I wasn't supposed to be, put it that way.
But you were, and that was your introductions
to
the transport?
Yeah, and carting hay mainly. That was one of our main lines of business, and carting small bales of hay. And when I eventually got my licence, like whenever everybody left school in those days had a job. There's plenty of work going around. Everybody wanted to work, but different than today, unfortunately. And so Dad applied for me to get a licence because he was short of labour, and it worked. And I've still got the paper cutting somewhere from the Honourable Mr. Gooseman, the Minister of Transport. It was gazetted and put in the paper, advertised that I was going to be allowed to get my licence at 17 years old. And any rejections, all this was all I noticed. And then I got a call one day and Dad said, you're going to go for your licence? Okay. Arrived at the high school, the traffic off arrived at the high school and picked me up.
Did he? How did that go down with your mates?
They didn't know what was going on for a while.
No.
Took me up to the yard here. I knew you'd been driving a bloody truck, Stephenson. I've seen you.
He had seen you.
He says, come on. He took me straight across the council office and I got my licence.
Yeah, right.
And not only that, I was 17 years old. I got my truck licence, my trailer licence, but wheels, tracks and rollers,
Yeah.
the whole bloody lot. And I remember Miss Khan was the town the secretary at the time
Yes.
of the Borough Council, and I got a call the next day, Bruce, would you bring your licence back please, we made a mistake. So I took the licence back, and she'd given me my passenger service as well.
Oh, had she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as well as that, she gave me my motor omnibus.
Yes.
And I thought I'm going to lose all these. She said, no, I've just got to take the motor omnibus off you.
Oh, is that all?
So, got my motorbike, whole bloody lot.
You still had your passenger service. That's good.
Yeah, I kept the passenger service.
Yeah.
And I helped Ted Cleary out after that a bit.
Yeah.
He had the school bus, and I occasionally, Peter Kiddo and I would drive his bus for him if he wanted a day off.
Okay.
Or an afternoon off or something like
Ted
that.
Cleary, yeah.
Yeah, because old Ted used to drive for Dad as well.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like stock trucks, etc. And
Yes, stock trucks and general trucks. Yeah, he drove for us and helped out. He was
I didn't realise that.
Ted was almost one of our family, really.
Yes,
He was
great guy. I remember going on many rugby trips when Ted was driving.
Yeah, good guy, Ted.
Yeah. So you mentioned before the hay carting in the early part. Today with, now we've got big round bales and so forth, it's sort of taken away that opportunity for the younger person to get out there and make a few dollars carting hay, because it was a big part. It happened during the school holidays, and
it was a big thing, and it was a good money earner for the young fellas at that stage. And like at 5 o'clock, we'd have bank tellers and all sorts of people come and go on hay with us, and we'd work half the night. And a lot of the people still talk about they used to cart hay for us, on the back of the truck and get paid bugger all for it.
And the farmer's wife would bring down scones and hot
every
tea.
time.
Yes.
Gosh, they used to look after us so well. I remember many farmers. Their other generations are still here now, some of them, and I'd have a meal at their place often at 10 o'clock or maybe even midnight sometimes. There'd be some food there and a drink for us.
Supply you with lemon and barley water.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. No, it was. So once you started driving, I take it there wouldn't have been a lot more years left at school.
Oh, I got out of bloody school straight away, I can tell you.
Yeah.
They wouldn't keep me there.
Yeah.
I'd had that. I was the head prefect there too, actually, but the high school,
so you can't have been a bad scholar if you were.
Well, I don't know about that, but
I think
no, it's some good mates, and we all worked as a team together and enjoyed ourselves. And a lot of my school friends came from Onga.
Yes.
A lot of them. And boys and girls.
Yes.
Male and female. Yeah, they were. There was a good contingent coming from there.
Can you remember any of them off the cuff?
Yeah, right. Peter Hooper and Elaine Samuels.
Yes, Elaine.
The Richardsons. What's her name? Beverly. McDonnell, she was. Yeah, that's right.
Beverly and Faye and.
That's right, and Faye. Pam Cochran. Yeah. I'm thinking all the younger ones.
Yes,
we had a lot of good friends come from there, and Lance Peterson, his father managed Guava Station.
Oh, yes,
Yeah. He was in the Rochelle with us as well. But there's some good people and great families.
Yes, and good times.
Yes.
So
I just had by the way, I just had a call from a first cousin of mine who I don't see very much of, but she's very much involved in the family tree, which bores the shit out of me, quite honestly. She rang from Auckland the other day. Bruce, I was at having a cup of tea with some people and met this lady, Dale Kerr, and she said she knows you. She went to school with you.
Oh, yeah.
Small world. That's where McCutcheons
Yep,
is
the
there.
Kerrs, I remember when the Kerrs were
Yeah,
there.
Archie
Yes.
Kerr was another.
Yes.
Was a, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was only this last week.
Yeah, okay.
They were talking about that. So there's another family.
Yes, yeah,
Goes back in history, and yeah,
yeah.
Mrs. Kerr and the family, they were very, very bright people.
Yes, yeah. So you've left and you're driving trucks, but you also needed to have some outside, like your rugby carried on.
Yep, yeah, rugby carried on, and Dad, Mum made us all learn a musical instrument.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't normally talk about this.
No, we want to hear it.
And every one of us, every 10 of us,
Yes.
a whole lot of us learned a musical instrument. Zola, my sister, she was Zola Moriarty.
Oh,
She was the oldest.
Yes, yeah.
She played the piano and the piano accordion.
That's right, I remember her playing the
Eve
piano.
on the next one, she played the violin, and Betty, the next one, she played the piano and piano accordion, and
Yeah.
Don, he was next in line, he played the piano and played the fiddle as well.
Yeah.
He was pretty good at playing the fiddle. and he taught me all those foolish things too. So
Yeah. So what were you playing?
I played the piano.
Piano.
Yeah. And then Winston, he played the saxophone. Bill played the piano. Maxine played the piano, and she was a teacher in Auckland, pianist.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful pianist she was, and gave it up. And Raymond played the piano, and then Vivian played the piano. Yeah, so in one part of it I had a bit of a dance, but for schoolmates of mine, Terry Story was one of them, and
Yes, yeah.
he played the saxophone.
Did he?
Brian Forster, who was Delta Engineering over here, he
Yeah.
played the drums, and
So you had your own group?
Phil Booker played the trumpet.
Oh, did he?
And so we had a little bit of a dance band. And we used to
Yeah.
go around. It sounded bloody awful, I'm sure, but everybody wanted us.
Yeah. Oh, good. Tell us a bit more about that. I mean,
Oh.
did you visit Onga and?
Yeah, we did. We went to
Argyle, that
Tonga.
sort- yeah.
We were always short on transport, of course, but never had
Yeah.
our own cars, and
Yeah.
so we were riding other people to get us home and or
Yeah.
to get us out there for a
Yeah.
start. But often the buggers would leave us there. We wouldn't get home.
That must have been such fun. And
Well, it was. It was good fun, and I didn't used to get out a great deal when I was a bit younger, and used to work like hell and enjoy myself and sleep. I remember getting woken up by Dad one night. I was in bed about 7:30 or something, and Bill Tito was a dance
Yes,
band
yeah.
at the time.
Yeah.
I think he came from Daddyburg.
Yeah, that's right.
And he rang Dad. He said, "I want one of your family to play the piano for me. I'm crooked." And I ended up. That's how it all started.
Yes, yeah.
I ended up over the par playing. I played for him twice, filled in for him twice.
Did you?
Yeah, and in his dance band, I was probably bloody hopeless, but we got through the night and
Yeah.
every night.
Good.
But I never forget I can't think of the guy's name. Peter Rayner was on
Yeah.
the drums. I can't think of the guy's name. Peter, well, he's still alive, Peter, isn't he?
Yeah, Peter's still alive. Yeah.
On the saxophone. But
Okay.
he used to curse like hell because I played in what only key I knew. And he used to say, "I got to bloody play a B flat all the time."
Is that right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't one of the sergeants, or
No.
No.
Oh, it might have been.
Yeah.
It might have been one of the
Yeah.
sergeants. I think it was.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And those were good times. I enjoyed them.
Oh, and dancers were under such demand, weren't they?
Yeah.
People
hell yeah.
would attend in droves.
Yeah. And look, I tell you what, our dance band disappeared a bit, and I didn't get into the practice so much, and we were, and I was sort of, we'd go socially out at night, and the people wanted me to get on the piano, and I had to tell you, I got pretty antisocial over it all,
Yeah.
because I mainly played by music. I couldn't play by ear,
Yeah. Okay.
and I had to read music, and as a result, I gave it up.
Yeah.
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 Because I thought I couldn't do it right. I'm not going to do it at all.
No, and you'd arrive there and be expected to play with no music.
And I didn't know, you
No,
see, and often I'd fill in for 21st or for engagement parties and that sort of thing. And some of these people are very good at that sort of thing and are pretty good at it, but I couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that dance circuit, it took in Makaratu.
Oh, all over the place.
Yeah, Ashley Clinton.
Yeah.
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 And quite regularly, wasn't it? Once a month or something?
Oh,
It might even be
probably once a fortnight, I think
Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
Yeah. And different things like that, yeah.
I know Peter, we interviewed Peter and Shirley Rainer earlier in the piece, and they met at one of the Onga dance people. Yeah.
It was a great place for meeting.
Yes.
Making friendships.
There would have been a lot of
in the band, I found. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyway, so that was one of your hobbies. Now Zola, she was a very good pianist as well. And,
marvellous.
And she would sort of take to playing the piano regularly for the schools and district functions.
She helped me out a lot of times when I'd been out playing rugby and had too many. Yeah. I was supposed to be somewhere else playing the piano.
She came and picked you up?
No, she came and filled in for me.
Yeah. So you played in those days, you played for Old Boys or United?
I played for both. I played for Old Boys first, and until they folded, and then I played for United after that.
Tell me, Bruce, why the two clubs?
What happened, apparently, and this is really my father's and his generation's doing, is that Waipa United were the only club here at the time.
Oh, okay.
And they wouldn't field a senior team because they reckon they never had the players.
Oh, okay.
So old Jack Whitelaw from Williams and Kettles, what's his name, Alan Patterson, and Ewan, Edric Spotswood, and a few of the others got together and they said, yeah, we can get a team together, and they did, and they got guys from Elsthorpe, Markree, Wakarara. He used to come in and play for us, and they won the Hawke's Bay competition one year. Yeah. And so that's how that started up. Yeah. That's how Waipa Old Boys got going. And I carried on because Dad was involved with it at the time as well, you see. And I remember old Doc Hercock and those guys were on the other side of the fence. Yeah. But it was all good. Yeah. And they eventually put a senior team in as well. So that's what happened there.
Okay, that's interesting because I've never really known the reason.
I can remember playing in Ongatiko, and because this is Onga thing, so and there were two Baker boys in our team and two Baker boys in the Ongatiko team, Roy and Cheesy, and Alan and Lou, I think it was.
Oh, Lou,
yeah. Who was the youngest one? Barry.
Roger.
Roger, no, he wasn't there.
And then Barry.
Yeah. And anyway, we had this game there. John McLean was the referee.
Oh, yeah.
And Tom Clayton used to play, he was out on our side, and he was a bloody shadow puncher, you know. And he belted Bill, my brother, in the snot box.
God.
Blood everywhere. This, we're playing this at Onga. Yeah. And of course, he didn't mean to. He just, that was his roughness. And of course, they thought that the opposition had done it. Yeah. And an all-out scrap broke out. Bloody Clayton. He was a bugger. Anyway, that was the last game the senior rugby Bill played, and I think it was the first.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he wasn't going to do that. He was a big, strong bugger, but no.
Yeah, well, the Bakers would be in
there. They called the game off.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, the Bakers, they called the game
John
off.
McLean, I mean, he was still refereeing when I was playing. Yeah. He refereed for many years.
He did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great service to the game.
I tell you what, I shouldn't say this, I suppose, but I used to get away with blue murder with him.
Yeah, you're a good mate of John's.
Well, you know, in those days you'd give the odd one.
Yeah. And he'd pretend not to see it.
Perhaps he never saw it.
Your rep honours, you actually played.
I was in the Central Hawke's Bay Reps.
In the Central Hawke's Bay team,
years,
but you also.
I was in the Hawke's Bay training squad for a while and trained with Kel and Billy Davis and Ian McRae and those guys. I mean, we used to run over the Taradale Hills.
Did you?
Puketap there, but I bucketed my ankle up in training one night, and so that set me back a bit, and so I had to make a decision. Dad wasn't that well, and whether I'm going to play rugby or I'm going to run a transport business. Yes. And so I virtually gave the. Yeah. I slackened off and I couldn't. I still played a bit of rugby, but
you lost that enthusiasm. with the ankle injury?
I lost the edge.
Yeah.
Put it that
yeah,
way.
Yeah.
I wasn't hard into it like I should have been, as you need to be in the rep rugby.
Yeah. But you'd played quite regularly for Central Hawke's Bay up until then?
Yeah, I did. I played regularly. And I was enjoying my Hawke's Bay experience, that short time that it was. Yeah, it was good there. And later on, we went with Golden Oldies to America on a tour, 1981.
How many games did you play over there?
Played 4 over there. Yeah, that was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of the All Blacks were there, with us, and thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah. In the what state?
We played at LTZA. What is it? The Los Angeles State University.
Okay.
Give the letters are now, but we played on that ground in LA, and all stayed at Long Beach.
It was a tournament?
It was a tournament.
Yeah. Okay.
World tournament, and I don't know whether they still have them, but it was a really good time. All different countries were there.
I think they do.
We used to swap jerseys. I remember they'd come up to you and want to swap your jersey, and you swap it with an Italian or someone else.
Great times. What a way to finish your rugby. 41.
Yeah.
You were 41.
I was 41 when I was over there.
How did the body come up after those games?
Oh, pretty good. I popped a rib. What happened? We had these games at the Golden Oldies tournament, but then Keller had organised it, I think. We had another game in San Francisco, and I remember the Gophers on the field was a polo field we played on. And of course, there's Americans that bloody rugby, that's a rough sport, you know, they couldn't believe it. You hop on the bus, what do you play, rugby?
No
well,
padding.
that bloody game, you haven't got any headgear on even. And I remember that anyway. There's a big guy there on the opposition side, and he's played gridiron, and massive shoulders on him. I think it was a 300-pound big bugger, and he hit me when I was running in the back line, and I popped a rib. Oh man, that was painful. It still sticks out. So I watched from then on, and later on after our tour, we called into Hawaii and had a game there as well. The boys did. Yeah.
So was this tackle rugby then as well?
Yeah.
Oh,
sure was, yes.
You didn't have green shorts where you weren't allowed to be tackled, or
there wasn't any. Didn't have any oldies in our teams then.
No, okay.
No. I think that came a bit later.
Yeah. Well, they have. If you're wearing green shorts, got to be touched but not tackled.
Yeah, that's right. No, it was hard on. We played We played the Bahamas. And they're all dark guys except one, and he was blonde as you, honestly.
Yes, is that right? I'm glad you called me blonde.
Honestly, he was white-haired. Anyway, I think we beat them 50-3 from memory.
Yeah.
And then we played the Irish Canadians, they would call themselves. Yeah. And they were all professional people, like doctors or dentists, and man, they were hard buggers.
Were they?
Yeah, they were hard buggers. And I remember Kel Tremaine, I was the line-out jumper, and I remember taking the ball in and turning my back round and put it behind my back, and Kel come up behind me, and we pushed over, and that was the only try of the whole game. 3-0
right?
we beat them. Yeah. And their language, they were hot. Get these bastards.
Yeah.
Gotta kill these bastards.
Dentists and doctors.
Yeah, and they were tough.
Yeah.
But it was good fun. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds as though, that must have been a great tour.
And then I can remember watching the Wasps, that's from Rotorua.
Yeah.
And Billy Davis was in that team. I remember watching them play South Africa. We didn't play every team.
No.
But they played South Africa, and man, that was a blood match.
Yeah, was it?
Oh, honestly.
Yeah.
Look, you'd think it was an All Black South African
game. Is that right?
Yeah. They were. It wasn't just because it was Golden Oldies. There's no holes barred, I can tell you.
God. Well, how do you, well, just before I go on to that, Mike Hardy tells me the story of turning up to a Hawke's Bay training, and he had left his boots behind.
Yeah.
And from memory, he got a real scolding from KR. You don't remember anything about that, but...
I can't remember that.
that was in the early days of the Ranfurly Shield. Was Mike in the same?
Pretty well.
Yeah.
But he would have been there longer than I was.
Yeah.
He carried on after that, after I left. But Colin McCain.
Yeah. So you were under Colin on those Taradale runs, and
we call him the Führer.
Yeah. Yeah.
You knew that.
Yeah.
Everybody knew that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, for that reason.
Yeah.
And that's why I would say it would have been the Führer that turned the shit out of him.
So he trained you hard. Was his rugby knowledge good? Like, scrummaging?
Oh yeah, he was.
Yeah, tactical moves.
Yeah, he'd get you aside and have a talk to you
individually.
Yeah. We played the Wasps up in Rotorua, and he came up to me and he gave me a bloody good talking to after it, and told me what I had to do and what I didn't have to do. Yeah.
Okay, so you were obviously quite close to that Ranfurly Shield side then.
Oh, I was, It happened just immediately after I pulled out.
Yeah.
I was really sorry that I didn't quite make it.
So
that
you
way.
were sort of talking 63, 64?
That's right. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. No, there was I watched them win it at Waikato.
Yes, yeah. And I see in that one of those early Central teams that you played in, Roger Crystal was a halfback.
Yes, Roger.
I used to watch Roger play, and I really rated him as a halfback.
He was a bloody good halfback. Really, really good halfback.
Yeah.
Roger was. Yeah. We had a marvellous team. We had John Hamilton.
Yes, John at fullback.
Fullback or first five. He played either one. And Mark Thomas. He was either.
Yeah, that's right.
As well. And some good players there. But prior to those guys, the first game of senior rugby I played, I was playing junior. There was only seniors and juniors at the time. And I come off the field after playing junior, and the seniors, the old boys, were one short. Yeah. So I ended up playing on the wing and scored a try. And I remember Stan Harper, the wrong name. Yeah. Yeah. And Cheesy.
Yeah, and Cheesy. Yeah.
Pushing me over.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. So was that the one and only time you played on the wing?
Yes.
Being a loose forward.
Yeah,
time.
Yeah, and I'd never played CD before, so I suppose they were looking after me.
Yeah.
And they were.
Yeah.
Jackie Morris.
Yes,
those
Jackie
guys,
Morris,
and Charlie, his brother, Charlie was the halfback, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In Waipawa.
What's her name, Muggeridge?
Brian
Muggeridge?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Brian was our coach one part of it.
Oh, was he?
Old boys,
I didn't really. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, Gary Luttrell, there's guys in there that.
Yes.
And Graham Caddose. No? Yeah.
Graham was a good halfback.
Yes. Yeah.
Top man.
Yeah. Oh, interesting days. That's
very much so. Brian Setter was in there as well. Yeah, he was a loose forward though. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian was a loose forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
We covered your first job because you were straight into the trucking business, really.
Yeah. Well, really a bit of the history of the place, I suppose. Dad took. He had a hemorrhage on the brain, and they call them aneurysms now. I think now anyway, and so I pretty well had to come in, and I was doing the books there, seeing the accounts out and all those sort of things. And he took crook, and so Bill, Don, and myself took the business over in 1964.
1964.
Yeah, and we had to. Raise a few bob, and we were very fortunate at the time that the Atlantic Union Ore Company was part of the Williams and Kettles franchise, and we got the money from them.
Okay.
And sold all our vehicles that we had, all our cars.
Yes.
Had one car between the three families, and so Mum and Dad could retire, and we paid the loan back by. Putting another few pennies on the price of the petrol we were buying. No diesel then.
No.
So that's how that happened. And I think the government outlawed that from happening after a while. But we were very lucky that we were able to do that. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be here now. Yeah. So your dad's health, the aneurysm. They flew him to Dunedin. There was a place to go in those days, and he went down twice, actual fact, and yeah, but he came through it, but he was never completely right and had to give it away, and so they moved up to Rewa and bought a place up there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So all your sport over and so forth, and then your marriage to Gay.
Yeah, well, Gay was at school, at high school, and I was there, and so I've known her for a long time. And
so excuse my ignorance, but who was Gay before?
Gay Page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Aussie Page, and his daughter from and she's the youngest of 8.
Yeah.
And she has a twin brother. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she'd worked the next door, of course. That was very handy at the lawyer's office.
Yeah, right.
So you might say it all sort of fell into place, I suppose.
So eventually you were married in what year?
Got married a bit late, actually, 1966.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I was given the ultimatum.
Yeah, right, yeah.
All my mates had pretty well done the deed, and so, but however, and that's what happened, and And
then you had a family?
Yeah. Got a daughter and a son. The daughter's in Wellington. Just going back a bit, when I said we took over from Dad, we had in 2017, we were at the show, Hawke's Bay show. We put a stand on there just to try and improve our profile and the likes. And people were coming and see, a lot of people were coming and see. It was really good, socialising with people and just meeting them. And there's a fellow there a little short fellow dressed in a suit and all that, and he's shuffling backwards and forwards and shuffling backwards and forwards. And what the hell's going on? This guy wants something. Anyway, after a while, these people are gone. He comes up to me. He said, "Oh, are you Mr. Stephenson?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Bruce Stephenson." He said, "Oh, was your father SJE, Septimus James Edward?" I said, "Yes, he was." He said, "Well, look, I've got a story to tell you." He said, "I used to work in the Bank of New Zealand and as a teller in 1959, he said. Yeah. And he said, your father and Alan Wilson was the manager, and every month we used to put put a report into the Wellington manager about all the overdue overdrafts and the likes." And he said, "Your father was on the top of the list all the time." He said, "And I'm just so amazed that you are still here today."
Yes.
He said, "I can't believe it." Yeah. I said, "Well, the reason we're still here today is Mr. Wilson was such a good bank manager, but it cost Dad a bottle of whiskey or two."
As you were able to do in those times.
Yeah. And he said they used to have to report to the bank. And just a little interesting thing here is that if he had been in Hastings or Napier, their limit would have been much larger than being in a little suburb like Waipawa. Yep. And he said, "Your father would have probably done a lot better or got a bigger overdraft." I said, "He didn't need a bigger overdraft."
No. Oh, that's it, yeah.
God. And he wrote me a letter, and I've got it there now.
Yeah, okay.
Laid it all out for you. Yeah. And I just come across it, so I thought I'd tell you that little story. Yeah.
Good. So just back to meeting. Where did you meet Gay? Oh, well, you were at school together.
Yeah, school. Yeah.
Yep. And it all began there, really.
Yeah. I probably gave her some sort of being a prefect. I probably gave her a bit of detention or something, and sort of. Yeah. No, I wouldn't have done that. Hell no.
And you have a family now of.
Now just 2,
Yeah.
And I've got Gay and I. We've got 7 grandchildren.
Yes.
Which we're very proud of, and 2 great-grandchildren.
Yeah. Cool. They're lovely to have, the grandchildren.
Absolutely. They're lovely to have, but they're lovely to see them go sometimes too.
It's only because they sap the energy out of you just watching them half the time. Yeah. So you were married where?
Married in the Presbyterian Church up here in Waipawa. Yeah. Okay.
So then we come to the Stephenson's transport. When did it begin, Bruce?
Mum and Dad started in 1936. Dad used to work for various works. He worked on the Manawatu Gorge, one part of it, believe it or not.
Oh, did he?
Building that, yeah. And
roading?
Roading, yeah. Yes. Then he worked for a milk company and carting cream cans, and because the family, the Stephenson family, and my mother's family, McCarty's, they came from Dannevirke.
Ah,
And
okay.
Stephenson's still got land down there,
Yes.
in Dannevirke and Terryhunga around there, and Raumati. And so, and then he worked for Ongataka Lime, as I said, and selling as a salesman mainly, and then he ended up being a barman at the commercial hotel here for a very short while, and that's when he bought a licence off a fellow in Waipawa, the name eludes me at this stage, and started up a one-truck business, and there's photos up there with the logs on, and they called themselves carriers and contractors at the time, and they'd contract to take the bush out. And Wakamuti Station is that place here where they carting those kakatea or white pine logs into Waipawa cases, which was here.
Yeah.
And they used to make butter boxes with the white pine.
Did they with the white pine? Yeah. So he had the contract for carting that out?
Well, yeah, they just a group of them.
A group of them,
Jack Strang's the bulldozer, and there's another old fellow there, and they were pretty hard men.
So it developed, that was the first instant, like he sort of
started on that, and then he
started developing from there?
Then he carted the poles for St Hawke's Bay Power Board. The first poles there, and laid they cut the poles out to the Purry Beach and round the Blackhead area, laying all the power lines out there.
So where would the poles have come from? Like,
they were wooden poles at the stage, and then later on, hardwood. Australia, I think they came from,
I think so.
And then the concrete poles later on from the pole factory.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how that started off, and then he ended up with probably one of the first truck and trailers in the country. A little, as you can see there on the photograph, the little 2-axle trailer. Carried behind the International.
All based here in Waipawa at the time?
All based here in the same site, just over there.
Yes, and so it's grown over the years?
1936, and here's a minute book which dates from when Dad sold the business to a company, and they formed a company in 1947. And the company paid Dad £7,154, 2 shillings and 5 pence. For the company, and the greatest...
Not 2 and 6, 2 and 5.
And the greatest value of the vehicles there was a Ford V8 truck for £950.
Okay.
So, gives you an idea of the value of the things at the time. You know what I mean? Like we just put the last truck and trailer we put on the road in International. That would probably be about 80 horsepower, that truck, I suppose, that one there. In the old days, the last one we put on the road was 615 horsepower with a truck and trailer, $900,000 on the road with crates. So there's a big difference.
Right? God.
Gives you a bit of a comparison.
Yes. So how many in the fleet at the moment?
We've got 50 in the fleet.
50, And you're based here?
And Hastings.
Yes. Just the two. And the business is going well. I know it's not so good for farmers at the moment.
No, well, farmers, of course, are our bread and butter. So it's not good for farmers. It's not good for us, and not just us, but in general.
That's right.
And not good for the country, I believe. No, I think we've got some pretty tough times coming up.
I think so.
It's unfortunate that it's got like this, but and it's unfortunate that the value of our wool and sheep meat is not sought after like it has been in the past.
Well, you would have been through all the booms and of the wool and so forth. And, it's just hard to believe that we haven't been able to market it better or continue the good marketing that we did have. And
it's going to be hard to come through this one, I believe. And mainly once you put pine trees in the ground, I mean, what happened when the early pioneers came here? They took the trees away and grew grass. Probably too many trees away at the time. But now I think we're putting trees back in the wrong place. Unfortunately.
Some of the country it's going into is just...
And that's where our breeding stock comes from. That's my biggest fear, it's not, sorry, not a breeding stock, our finishing stock comes from is the likes of Gisborne, Wairau,
Yep.
and the Wairarapa and the back of Dannyburg, those sort of areas. These finishing people rely on that stock. So it's a bit of a concern.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. But you'll box on, I mean... Yep.
We've got no option, have we?
You've got no option, no.
We've got, my son's very keen on the business, Todd's very keen, and my daughter wants to get into it as well. So, Todd's two boys are very keen on driving. They're both driving. They're both at Lincoln actually, but one of them's got his heavy traffic licence, trailer licence, and the other one just went for his class 2 yesterday. And my granddaughter, Todd's daughter, is between the two boys. She's got her class 4 licence, so she's been driving for us as well, and she's down in Otago. Yeah. Oh, well, that's heartening for you and heartening for us, heartening for Central Hawke's Bay. Very proud to see a 4th generation interested in the business. Yeah. And hopefully it'll continue, but if it doesn't work out profitable, of course, you don't know what you'll do. Yeah. No,
started and
not really.
He'd be so thrilled to see it continuing like it is.
Yes, he'd be, if he could see it now, he'd get a hell of a shock, and Mum as well, of course. I always include Mum because she was, while he was looking after the business, she was raising 10 children. Yes. And you know, in those days they didn't have automatic washing machines or
that's right,
or clothes dryers and that's the likes.
That's a great effort.
I remember we all had a chore, as you people would have had too, I'm sure. And one of mine was cutting the chips for the fire and polishing Dad's shoes. Yeah, is that right? Yeah. And one stage it might have been emptying the loo as well. Yeah. Well, that's something I didn't have to endure. And then we all did a stint at milking the cow. Yeah, certainly had that. Yeah. But I mean, big families that's what it was. It was your 10, Baker's had 11, I was one of 8. Yeah, Hislops are down the road, there's 13 there. 13, yes, yeah. I know, and we all worked and lived. Yeah, chopping chips. Played together. I think many of us would have gone through that. And but emptying the loos. I've heard of them. Yeah, well, they had a little a potty. I remember the potty. Yeah. And as well, and a matter of fact, when we claimed off Mum and Dad when they went. Yes. Is in the garden. Oh, surprise piece in the garden. And I'm sure there's a lot more like that. Yes, no doubt. Similar position. Yeah, no doubt. So moving on, major events that you can remember in and around Hawke's Bay, I suppose. Floods, fires, carnivals. Yeah, well, we've had some wonderful carnivals in Waipawa and in Central Hawke's Bay indeed. Yeah. Over the years, and we had great supporting people doing it, organising it and running them. We rely so much more on handouts to do these things these days, which is a bit unfortunate really. You haven't got so much enthusiasm there to put your hand up and get these things done. But Queen Carnivals. Yeah, the Queen Carnival. We raised money for the Waipawa swimming pool here, and that was done through, I think our Transport Queen won that. Yes. And that was a great event. Yeah. Some of the floats were amazing. Incredible floats. There again, Dad, my sisters played the piano and the piano caught on the back of a float truck. And they all dressed up. Yeah, the black and white Mitchells, and they're all dressed up like that, but you're not supposed to use those sort of expressions these days. Yeah. Unfortunately, but it was all good fun. It was all good fun, Yeah. So you remember the fire down here at the hotel? Yeah, I was up, Jimmy Fletcher, he was a butcher in Hastings, and Edric Spotswood, I was up at Russell, big game fishing. They took me up there were you? In 1964, and we're the Duke of Marlborough Hotel, and I'd landed a big fish, and they all got me half boozed as a result of it. And next thing we read in the paper the next morning where the pub burnt down, the bottom pub. And old Vern Meekland was a publican, and Wesco blew murder with old Vern and the local cops. You know, we get booze after hours and all the rest. And and a lot of us had a tab there. And I had one.
Yeah.
It went up in the fire. But I was honest, and I went and said to Vern, I don't know how much I owe you, Vern, but here's a few bob anyway.
Yeah.
And that went down. And the other Empire Hotel, where George Erickson, where I were up at home when Mum and Dad were living in Church Street, and saw this glow in the sky, and it was the other pub burning down. So I went down there to have a look, and just in a pair of shorts, and never been in the fire brigade before. And I don't think who it was, but one, Marty Wynn it was.
Oh, yeah.
Marty Wynn, he's the fire chief. Bruce, get on this hose.
Yeah, your bare feet.
So I was on the bloody hose round the back of the pub,
Yeah.
holding this hose, and they must have forgotten about me, or had a more.
Yeah.
And I was there all bloody night.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the only part that didn't burn down. Now take that. How about that?
Good effort.
And these hoses were right across the road. No one could drive over them.
No.
Yeah, it was. And that was our second pub win.
Yeah. Were you a member of the fire brigade?
I was never ever a member.
No.
I didn't really have the time with what I was doing to relax. The fire chief at the moment of Waipawa here is one of our drivers.
Okay.
And Don, my brother, was in the fire brigade. My father was in the fire brigade. So I've had good family representation there. Yeah. But I've never.
And it's always been a strong volunteer fire.
Yeah, they've been
group,
very good. All through Central Horsepower, I think they've all been very, very good.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the opening of the bridge out here, you clearly remember that?
I do. I clearly remember that. We. When you think back in these modern times now compared to then, all that cement, we picked it up off the rail in bags.
Yeah.
It was stored in our shed out here in bags. And when they wanted it mixed, we'd cart it down there, and they had a big concrete mixer. And they had Doc Hercock, Waipawa Concrete Products, Doc and Owen, and they had their gang of men, and some of them played rugby for us, by the way, and that's why they were so strong and fit, I reckon, because of that exercise they got. Naturally strong and fit. And so that's how that bridge was built, with that, the old mixer.
Right?
Wasn't any mobile mixers then.
No.
Yeah, so I remember that quite vividly.
So Hercocks were one that had who else had contracts for any part of it?
There was another organisation called a double-barreled name. It was. I can't think. They were the engineers.
Ah, yes, yeah.
And he lived in Waipawa with this guy while they were building that bridge, and he did other bridges at the time. And I can recall shifting his stuff to between Wanganui and Palmerston to a bridge down there they built. Yeah. And I drove the truck down there and took the stuff. And another time I can remember shifting him with all his furniture from down McGreevy Street. I didn't drive the truck then, but we loaded all the furniture up. And Paul Wall cigarettes were the thing of the day those days. And there was a fault with them. If they banged them, I never smoked, but the lit end would drop out.
Oh.
So somehow we believe that one of the guys loading it dropped out into the couch. And he gets to Woodville and the truck's on fire.
Oh, yeah.
We lost all this furniture.
Did he?
And the truck. And you know what? The value of that furniture was antique value.
Yes, yeah.
We had a bust up with the insurance company over there.
Oh, did you?
And they wouldn't accept the claim. And we had to pay out with that. The truck was paid for, but the furniture wasn't.
The furniture wasn't?
Yeah. That was a real catastrophe, that was.
Same company?
Yeah, same company.
Interesting that they paid out for the truck but not the furniture. Yeah.
And that, one of my experiences in business, and I learnt from then, I cancelled all my insurances with them straight away. I said, if you can't do this, well, I'm not paying you money, and blah, blah. And I got hold of a guy, a broker. I'd never heard of brokers before. This young fellow came up from Wellington, and he insured everything for us, and covered the lot with some special free clauses for a much cheaper price. Yeah, and I'm still using them today.
You're still using them. Yeah, that's a good story, that one.
Yeah, and it was So it was a learning thing, really.
Yeah,
an experience.
Yeah. So you did a bit of deer hunting?
Yes, I enjoyed
Yeah.
the hunting.
Yeah.
I was keen to be a professional culler
Oh, were you? Yeah.
instead of a truck driver.
Yeah.
Because I used to go up there when I was a teenager and mainly in the Wakararas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved the hunting. And
Did you hunt with anyone?
the three Waldron brothers mainly.
Oh, yeah.
They were the main ones.
Yeah.
But my brother Don,
Mm-hmm.
but he was more of a pig hunter.
Yeah.
But I used to take my rifle and yeah, we shot quite a few deer and pigs. But yeah, we used to enjoy the deer stalking.
Yeah.
And then we had a block. A group was Warren Pickett and myself. He managed to get onto a Maori block up behind Lochinvar Station.
Oh, yes.
It
Yeah.
was about 8,500 acres, and we had that for 44 years, believe it or not.
Did you?
We had 5 huts on it, and
That you built?
2 of them we refurbished, sort of
Oh,
thing,
yes,
and rebuilt. One of them was burnt down one night because we destroyed a plot of cannabis
Oh,
that
yeah.
we found up there. And
Yeah.
that was a bit scary, but
God, yes.
they burnt that down. But yeah, that was great fun. They were all Seeker deer up there,
Yeah.
Jap deer, and loved the hunting. Yeah.
44 years, that's a long time to have a block. And
Yeah, it was. And we had a
yeah,
great rapport. We
yeah.
had, the rent kept on going up, of course, and so we had to get more members. It started
Yep.
off with just 10 of us. Murray Cameron was one of the main
Oh,
members.
yes, yeah, remember Murray?
Yeah, and Ewan McDonald,
Yeah.
he's another one. I was chairman of it for about 40 years,
Ah,
and we had it went very, very well. We had, because the rent kept going up, we had they allowed us a maximum of 40 members, so that's what we ended up
Oh.
with. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
yeah. All the
Okay.
booking was done through my office here,
Mm-hmm.
so
Wow.
just for safety purposes.
What sort of area are you talking?
8,000 acres.
8,000 acres.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was a
God.
big area. It was cut over native bush, mainly
Yeah.
beech and tussock.
Okay.
Yeah, and there had been an airstrip put in there
Mm-hmm.
by hand, and Goodman McNutt,
Yes, yeah.
he had flown in there, and he apparently had people in there
Okay. Okay.
culling at one part of it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, good. That's your deer shooting and a keen duck shooter.
Oh, yeah, I
Out
love my
with
duck
the-
shooting. Yeah,
With the Joels and
yeah, we had the Joels,
you would
yeah.
have shot with Roger for.
Yeah, shot with
number-
Roger. I don't know if there's any water in the lake this time at the moment, but
No,
No.
I'm just not too sure what.
the younger fellas are taking over. They
Yeah.
built a new hut, and
Yeah, yeah.
and it's rightly so. They take over. I used
Yeah.
to shoot at Motri. That was a great spot.
Oh, yes, yeah,
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 great spot.
yeah. And just to finish off, in recent times, you've had to endure Gabriel.
Yes.
Can you just tell us about a little bit about that? What damage you suffered and.
Yeah, it was quite scary when it happened. Everybody arrived at work here, of course, and no one knew what was going to happen. But because the roads were closed and the likes, Todd and Robbie decided to send everybody home and couldn't do anything. So I shut myself in my office like I always do, and I carried on with book work. And
Yeah.
after a while, I thought I'd go for a walk. There's nobody else here.
Ah.
And I walked out to the top of the bank, and bloody hell, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So I got panic, and I phoned up everybody, and the trucks were going underwater.
Yeah.
That's what was
in
happening.
the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They ended up, there was 8 feet of water there.
Was there?
Yeah, 8. It was right over the top of my head. It would have been.
Yeah.
I've got the mark on. Still, I've got a photo of the mark on the trailer
Yep.
where it was. Because 9 trailers we couldn't hitch up, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And so they had to stay down there, and one got swept sideways. A 5-axle trailer got swept sideways
Did it?
with the current. That's how strong it was,
Yeah.
with a crate on. Got 2 boats in to help us get to the equipment. The first one rushed in with that outboard motor, and in such a hurry, he ran out of petrol
Oh.
way over the far end. And of course, he got in the current, and
Oh.
they're hanging on, and they left their phones behind because they had to wait out to see for a start. And we didn't know what was wrong with them. They're hanging on to the bloody fence
Yeah.
and to the stand over there. And so eventually we worked out what was wrong. We got another boat and a jet boat. The people were very, very good to come and help. Some of my old drivers were coming down across the bridge and they saw it. They all came in and helped. And
Yeah.
there's the keys. Go and grab one if you can and bring it
Yeah.
up. And they were bringing him up. And my grandson, didn't have a licence, he's taking them on from here and parking them in the street.
Was it? Oh, yes,
And the
yeah.
other boys are going and starting them up and bringing them up the hill.
Yeah.
So it worked very, very well in the end.
Yeah.
But as a result of damage, some of the Japanese trucks, they got the breather fairly well down on the motor, and they sucked up quite a bit of water.
Okay.
And but we've got over that.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. We drained everything, and the diffs and everything had to be drained. Of course, the trailers that were there, we had to strip them completely.
Yeah.
All the fencing went.
Such was the force.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. All that went, and had to be replaced. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, that was a scary situation.
It came through just this side of the rugby ground, is that right?
It did.
Yeah.
Broke banks there, and it
Yeah.
broke out. People think it broke in, but it broke out.
Oh, it
here.
broke out.
Well, of course,
Yeah.
you see with the bridge abutment coming out,
Yeah.
it had to get out.
Back into the...
Back into the
Main
mainstream,
river.
and that's
Yeah.
what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, let's hope we don't have to endure one of those again for a while.
Ooh. Yeah, well, you look at the metal in the river now, it's still pretty high.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thankfully, they've got over this needle grass.
Yes, yeah. 'cause
Stoppage
that's
with it all.
just another hassle.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce, thanks so much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
We've covered a fair bit of in-depth stuff there, I think. So thanks very much.
No, thank
Bloody
you.
good.
And thanks for calling. It's my
Champion.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Okay.